Um, wow. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's non-spoiler review of Resurrection, the newest film from director Andrew Semans. Okay, so I am going to do a spoiler review for this movie but I need to go back and rewatch it because this movie is something. I'm telling you what, that last third of this movie is insane. But I just want to let you know this is non-spoiler, so I won't get into too many details that don't involve like from the trailer and stuff like that. But Resurrection premiered at Sundance. It stars Rebecca Hall as Maggie. She works for a company that is working on the psychology of the human brain, I think, in a lot of respects. I may have misread what it is, but she also is kind of a counselor. She's counseling one of her, employees who's going through some stuff. In the process, she has a daughter named Abby they're really like, not really close to one another. They're more kind of, falling apart because she's getting older and Maggie's very protective as she is, but in the process Maggie is just this woman that has a relationship with a guy, has a career and stuff like that, and one day during a thing, a talk at a university, she sees somebody she recognizes, and that of course is Tim Roth's David character, who is and was a very violent, very brutal, I guess, abusive ex in a lot of respects, and she fled from the whole situation. I won't explain why because it's actually would spoil the movie. But he starts to kind of put himself into her life. He kind of stalks her, think a little bit like Cape Fear, and she confronts him and tells him to leave him. Don't leave her alone. But he has a secret that he wants to unveil to her. In the process of everything, she is very worried about her daughter and the effective nature of this David character affecting her. It becomes kind of like a really interesting kind of opening to a world that has some disturbing consequences and stuff like that. And to not spoil anything, it goes places. It really does. But also, it is a performance from Rebecca Hall, who once again, like the Night House, is having to do some really difficult stuff in this movie. So Rebecca Hall is a fantastic actress. She's very underrated. Of course, she premiered in she was in Iron Man 3. She's been in other stuff before that. But she is kind of coming to her own as a director with the recent hit that was Passing that premiered at Sundance. She was in, of course, that movie Night House, which I think she was the best part in. She actually should have gotten an Oscar nomination for having a woman who's dealing with some PTSD drama, some situation with PTSD. And now she's in another movie that was at Sundance, and this movie was an interesting hit in a lot of respects. It did pretty well for audience reviews. From what I gathered when I read the reviews, people were saying that her performance is once again magnetic, that she's underrated, which isn't surprising. But I heard the movie has a little bit of issues. So thankfully, this movie's finally arriving on Shudder on August 5th, and I was able to see it early. Thank you to IFC for allowing me to do that. And to not spoil this review, but to give my honest review of this movie, this is a weird movie. This is a strange movie. This is a movie that goes places. Once again, I'm going to have to rewatch it to do my spoiler review for this movie because I need to talk about it. But watching this movie for the first time, Rebecca Hall is absolutely incredible in this movie. She gives a commanding performance. The level of depthness that this woman, this person, this actress goes through and is able to command is something short of extraordinary. I don't understand why she doesn't get more love in the world. I don't understand why she doesn't get more acclaim for what she does. Because every movie that she stars in, she is giving a almost like bravado one woman performance. The level of depth she's had to go through between this film, the Night House, her stuff in Christina, it's incredible to watch what she is able to do. And it just, to watch her slowly become unhinged as this David character played gloriously by Tim Roth, who never seems to not play glorious, weirdos and stuff like that. But he really gets into her skin, really gets into the depths of her psyche. And the fact that she works for a company that's dealing with that kind of stuff and how it kind of like forms her, mind, and how she has her history come back in full force. It's a pretty incredible thing to watch. It really is. And this movie is not easy to watch. It really isn't. There is stuff in this movie that goes really deep and dark, goes really disturbing. It has moments where you're just uncomfortable. That last third, which like I said I won't spoil, is some of the most disturbing things I've seen in quite a while, and I've seen some disturbing stuff. And it's provocative, it's interesting, and it leads to a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions that are left after the end of this movie going, how do I perceive what just happened? Where does it go? How does it go? It's really strange, but you cannot not just kind of be in awe with what you're watching. This is why Sundance is so potent with what they do, because you look at stuff like Resurrection and you see like what they see, and you can understand that just how this film kind of just is perfect for that scenario. And the fact that Shudder picked it up, which at first when I was watching this movie I was kind of confused about why Shudder would run this movie, but the overarching narrative is it's a horror film. It's a horror film with horrifying ideas. It doesn't necessarily need to be like Friday the 13th or, you know, Trick or Treat to be on Shudder. It can have like a very disturbing story with a lot of horrifying elements and still be a straight up drama. It's what Shudder is known for, you know, for putting out there. So they don't always have like the horror films. They have films with horrifying nature and stuff like that too. So that's why it makes Shudder such a good quality streaming service in a lot of respects. But outside of Tim Roth and Rebecca Hall in this movie, everybody else is part of the story, is part of the crux of Rebecca Hall's character doing what she needs to do to get from point A to point B. Abby, her daughter, is a little sufferable, I guess you could say. She's not what I would call the greatest character actor in the movie, but I think she does a fine job of just kind of putting a lot of conflict into Maggie's character, Margaret's character, in a lot of respects. So I do think that it's an interesting character. It really doesn't feel like a well-rounded character. And it's the same thing with like some of the other characters in this movie, like the guy she has sex with in the movie. It just feels like a kind of just there type of character. But once again, it really in the end just focuses on David and Margaret's character, and that's where the movie truly shines. And that's why I think Rebecca Hall needs to get an Oscar nomination at some point in her career, because this once again shows how good she is. She can take a kind of middling story, which this can end up being if it isn't for her performance, and really elevate it to a different level. So the things she's having to deal with, the ideas she's having to deal with, the fact that, you know, Rebecca Hall is fearless in a lot of the stuff that she does with her performances, it really shines through in this movie. And man, that last act is something. I'm telling you what. Like I said, I'll talk about when when this releases on Shudder, so a lot more people are able to watch it and then watch the review that I do for the spoiler sense. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't say this is like the greatest horror film I've ever seen. It definitely has its problems with its pacing and some of the characters in the movie. But if you want to watch a movie with great performances, Oscar level performances, especially with Rebecca Hall, if you want to watch a gloriously weirdo character played by Tim Roth, this is a movie for you. Like I said, it premieres on Shudder, so definitely give it a check out. It is definitely one of the most interesting experiences that come out of Sundance in quite a while. And yeah, there you go. That is my non-spoilerish take of Resurrection. Once again, premieres on Shudder on August 5th. So with that said, like I said earlier, I will do a spoiler discussion on this movie, talking about the kind of what I think is going on. Once again, I just need to watch it again just to get my ducks in a row in a lot of respects. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below if you've seen this movie. Please don't spoiler it, but tell me what you think overall of the movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you have any questions about the movie, hit me up in the DM on Twitter or something like that, and maybe we can talk it through. But otherwise, I will do a spoiler review, so wait for that. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.